Hey everyone, and welcome back to part 2 of MoonKnight Fist of Konshu Volume 1. And when we left off last time, Moon Knight went to Fairchild, warned him to stop dealing glitter, which is this magic drug, and that gets people super addicted. And then Fairchild just completely, takes control of them because he's the only supplier. They do whatever he wants, and we found out that he's controlling Frasier, this dirty cop, and he wants her to take care of Moon Knight. Otherwise, he's gonna cut her off. So that leads us into issue 2. And before we get into it, so I made a mistake. This is actually a 6-issue volume because it includes issue 0, which is, all that exposition that we were reading the other day. That's issue 0. So this is actually issue 2. And let's jump right into it. And so Moon Knight goes to visit Tony Stark, Iron Man, on the impossible city, it's called. And, Tony tells Moon Knight, we've had our differences, but I saw you save New York when, during the Blood Hunt, which is, I haven't read that, but I think it was a big battle with vampires. It's referenced often in this comic book. Anyways, so basically, Moon Knight wants to talk to Tony because he's a brilliant man um, about this new drug, glitter. And he says he went to Tony because Tony's an addict too. So he wants his thoughts on it, and he wants to see if Tony can help him create some kind of counter agent so that they can help people get off of the glitter. Because it's not enough to just stop the glitter, you know, um, it's not enough to stop it being on the streets, to stop it being sold. It's a drug that if people stop taking it, later on in the comic, it's explained they die, or in best case scenario, they go into a coma. So it's not even about getting a high. Literally, like, you need to keep taking it to be alive. And Tony tells him, look, I'm an engineer, I'm not a biochemist. And he says that Strange, if you go to Dr. Strange, he might be able to help you with the magic side of this drug. I don't really know what's going on with this drug, but as an addict, I can tell you I'm terrified of it. He says Reed Richards is a chemist and maybe he could help, but unfortunately for you, the guy you really need is dead. And Moon Knight says, who? And Iron Man says, the best biochemist of our generation, Hank Pym. So Tony tells Moon Knight he should speak. Well, Tony tells Moon Knight his best hope would have been Hank Pym if Hank Pym were still alive, to find a counteragent to this drug. So Moon Knight's a little bummed about that. But then we cut to them. They're chasing 2 of the thugs. And the thugs, they're panicking, he's on our ass. Calm down, this is Moon Knight. And there's 2 of them. So both Moon Knight and Hunter's Moon are going after these guys. And someone in the back seat wearing a gas mask says they don't care about the glitter, they're after you. Because they think that the Moon Knights are after the glitter, but this one says no, they want you. They're going to squeeze information out of you and go up the chain. They're going to make you talk. And so this one says, if they catch up with us, it's time for me to start earning the money that Fairchild's paying me. Cut to Moon Knight in front of the car, and he's holding up his cape. And the thugs are like, this is our chance. Run him over. Go, go, go. Kill him. And the person in the back seat with the gas mask says, no, wait, it's a trap. And we see here that 8-Ball is hiding behind MoonKnight's cape, and he's getting ready with his pull cue. And bam, he says corner pocket, makes the shot, flips the entire car. Whole thing just goes flying. And 8-Ball says, so you think they're still alive? And MoonKnight answers, didn't you used to pull that gag when you were a supervillain, 8-Ball? And 8-Ball says, oh, so many times. Well, nobody died then, did they? And 8-Ball goes, oh, and there's an awkward silence here. Anywho, Hunter's Moon catches up to them, and these guys are crawling out of the car. And here's our epic shot of our two Moon Knights. But just as they're about to interrogate those two thugs, out comes our mysterious passenger with the gas mask and says, Moon Knight, it's been a long time. And Moon Knight says, I don't know who the hell you're supposed to be. I only want Fairchild's guys. Get lost and you'll dodge a beating. But Gas Mask replies, you wouldn't recognize me, would you? Not dressed like this. Let's get sexy then. And they remove their clothes and say, let's get weird. And this kind of, I don't even know how to describe this, weirdly shaped character just starts walking at them, made of like cubes and uneven surfaces and corners, and it's cubist. And Moon Knight says his pheromones. And Hunter's Moon says, what, brother? And Moon Knight says, they do this. You're going to lose depth perception, balance, and spatial awareness. And Hunter's Moon says, going implies they aren't already gone. So basically this character just kind of, gives you an insane case of vertigo, I guess. Something like that. And Cubist has an easy time kind of playing around with them and beating them up. But he says, I want to deliver a message from Fairchild. Fairchild says you forced his hand coming after his business like this, so now he's going to come after your business. Everything after this, you bought and paid for. And they can't hit him. But Cubist says, well, it did cross my mind to kill you three. Fairchild wouldn't like it. And I'm not sure that you wouldn't manage to get your hands on me before I broke your skull or punctured a major organ, and I know enough to know that if that happens, I'm dead. And seeing as my guys are gone, I should be as well. So Cubist leaves, and everything goes back to normal. And Moon Knight just says, damn it. So they're back at the midnight mission. And they're trying to figure out what Fairchild meant by going after their business. And Moon Knight says here, Fairchild's a gangster. That's not what we usually deal with. He's better organized than Zodiac, smarter than the Tutor, and he doesn't have the obsession that the Black Spectre did. So they're just trying to figure out how they're going to stop the supply of glitter, how they're going to stop Fairchild. And Hunter's Moon asks, were the Avengers any help? And Moon Knight says no. He was hoping Stark could help him create an antagonist compound to help people counteract the addiction, but with the mix of chemistry and magic that they're dealing with, they can't figure it out. And he says, all we have to do is stop Fairchild. He's got exclusivity on this. And then it's just about picking up the pieces. But Reese says those pieces are people. Remember that. And we're not off to a great start. So Moon Knight says, I'll admit we got outmaneuvered, but we got good intel as well. Fairchild's digging into my rogues gallery. And what Moon Knight means by that is, he's fought Cubist before, so Fairchild's trying to find enemies, Moon Knight's enemies, to recruit them. And this gives Moon Knight a weird confidence. But anyways, they take a break here, and Tigra says, there's something going on with you. So Moon Knight speaks to her and tells her that this is a very confusing part, even for me, but I'm going to try to explain it as best I can. So when we were reading the first issue 0, we read that Tigra helped liberate Konshu, who resurrected Mark. And Mark basically tells her that before all that happened, he found out that Hank Pym is still alive. He's actually not dead. And Hank Pym, I suppose, is the father of her children. So she has something with Hank Pym, thought Hank Pym was dead. Hank Pym is not dead. Mark knew that he was alive, but didn't tell her before they attacked the place that got Mark killed, and he's telling her now, and it doesn't go over well. And meanwhile, while all this is happening, the police are preparing to raid the Midnight Mission. Fraser's getting ready. And it ends on Mark saying Hank Pym is still alive. And I'm sorry if I kind of brushed over that, but that's the best I can explain it, really. So now we cut to Carver, Fairchild's right-hand woman, and she's on top of the Midnight Mission, and she's got her big sword. And Fairchild, she's talking to him. And Fairchild says, you really think that sword is going to destroy the Midnight Mission? And he says, if it does, I'll double your money. And she says, this sword has dealt with worse or bigger. And it cuts back to Vanaheim. And she says, keep your money. I just want what you promised me. So she just rams the sword into the Midnight Mission. And look at this huge explosion of energy. So meanwhile, Tigra is talking to Mark, and she says, Hank Pym is alive and you never told me. And Mark says, I was going to, after we stopped the Black Spectre, after we saved the city, but I died. And you came back, Mark. Hang on, what's happening? And Mark realizes the mission. Something's happened to the Midnight Mission. He touches the walls and says, they're dead. They're just walls. And Tigra says, dead. What could kill the Midnight Mission? It's a living haunted house, for God's sakes. And that's when NYPD shows up. And she says, Mark Spector and Greer Grant Nelson, you are under arrest. And Mark isn't happy. He says, what did you do? What did you do to my Midnight Mission? On the ground now. You killed my home. You killed my friend. Don't be stupid, Moon Knight. Now, take them, soldier. You got it, boss. And the vampire soldier comes out of the dark. they start attacking. So it's a full-on battle between the police and the midnight mission. And Soldier says, "Boss, what's the plan?" And MoonKnight says, "They came into our house, killed one of us, punished them." But Tiger says, "We can't just fight the entire police force. We have to get out of here." But he corners Frazier, and he says they started it. And he's about to carve her up. And she says, "No, don't. And MoonKnight says, "Why shouldn't I, Detective Frazier, you junkie murdering dirty cop?" But Hunter's Moon stops him. He says, "Brother, there are cops everywhere. The mission isn't responding." He says they killed the mission. But Hunter's Moon stops him from killing Frazier. So he lets Frazier go. And MoonKnight says, "We're leaving. We're getting out of here." So they fight everyone that's in their path to escape. And MoonKnight says, "You made a mistake coming here." And we have this nice little page showing everyone battling the cops. So MoonKnight says, "We need to keep moving." And Tyra says, "Mark, this is escalating out of control." And MoonKnight says, "The mission patterned itself off my first midnight mission. Then it improvised. Now that it's dead, it's reverted to that first form. It's left us an escape, protecting us one last time." So they go down into the sewers. And Mark says, "The cops are after us. The crooks are after us. We lost our home. So there's only one thing we can do. And that's run." So they go underground beneath the city, and Mark takes them to an old decommed shield base. And he said he took this away from a crazy guy who used to hide there, killing people. He broke his victims down for parts so he could make himself stronger. And Reese says, "Oh, cool, so you came down here and dragged him out?" And Mark just points and says, "Nope." And the guy's still there, with one of Mark's things still stuck in him. I forget what these are called. They're kind of like batarangs, but moon batarangs. And Soldier says, "Why didn't you use this place when Zodiac blew up the first midnight mission?" And MoonKnight says, "Because I need people to be able to find me so I can help them. This is a place to be forgotten. This is a tomb." And MoonKnight says, "I'm not gonna lie, this is really bad. Fairchild's got the cops after us, took the midnight mission away from us, our teammate and friend, which we've always counted on for protection. He's chased us out of our own territory. As of right now, each of us is a fugitive from the law." And they turn on the news, the television, to find out that they've been blamed for the glitter. And the glitter is now being called moon dust. And the cops have accused them of being the sole proprietor of this drug. And that was Fairchild's plan all along. So in one move, he gets rid of MoonKnight, chases him out of his territory, and blames him for all the drugs on the streets. And there's not a mention of Fairchild whatsoever. So now they're all wanted and considered extremely dangerous, and their photos are all over the news. And that's the end of that chapter. or that issue. And we have 2 more issues to go. So this is going to be a 3-parter instead of a 2-parter, which I originally planned, but that's okay. Things are getting interesting, and our heroes are on the run now. So we'll see what happens tomorrow in the final part of Volume 1. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to check out Part 1 of Volume 1 if you haven't seen it yet. Please like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll catch you in the next video for the finale of Volume 1. Goodbye. Good night. Have a great day or a great rest.